Hi, today we'll be looking at the graphs of quadratics. Let's get started. Okay, as you see, here are some graphs of some quadratic functions. All graphs of quadratic functions are in the form of a U. Just like linear functions were always in the form of a line, quadratic functions are always in the form of a U. Let's go deeper. So remember, a quadratic function is always in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so we're going to take a particularly close look at the coefficient a. So if a is positive, then your graph is going to look like a U. If a is negative, then your graph is going to look like an upside down U. The way I like to remember this is if a is positive, then our graph is a smiley face. If a is negative, then our graph is a frowny face. So that's how I like to remember this. Okay, now let's look again at the ax squared plus bx plus c form, and again take a look at a. So the rule of thumb is, the bigger the a, the narrower the graph. So, for example, if my a was 5, then so my graph was like 5x squared plus 3x plus 2, then it might look like this. However, if my graph was just x squared plus 3x plus 2, then my graph might look like this. So this we can say is a equals 5, a equals 1. Okay, so it becomes wider the smaller a is. Okay. Now what can a graph of a quadratic tell us? Well, the graphs of a quadratic tells us the roots. So anytime the quadratic graph intersects the x-axis, that's where the roots of the quadratic are. So for example, in this quadratic, here's a root here and here's a root here. That means we have double roots, or we have two roots. In this graph, realize we only have one root, so we have a single root. In this graph, we have no root, because never does the quadratic touch the x-axis, so no real roots. Okay, another important thing about the quadratic graph is the vertex. The vertex is the point where it's either the bottommost or the topmost. So for example, if the quadratic looked like this, then this would be the vertex. So the topmost or the bottommost point. The vertex is always at x is equal to negative b over 2a. So the x-coordinate of the vertex is negative b over 2a. Okay, let's do some examples. So in these examples, I want to find the x-coordinate of the vertex. So, for example, let's look at this. So we want to find it. So we have negative b over 2a. Well, what's negative b? Well, that's equal to negative 10. And what's a? That's 5. So what's 2a? 10. So this is negative 1. So the vertex will be at x is equal to negative 1. Okay, well, let's look at example number 2. We have 10x squared plus 2x plus 3. Well, negative b over 2a. This is going to equal negative 2 over 2a, which is 20. So we have negative 1/10. So x would equal negative 1/10, where the vertex happens. So I hope that helped, and I hope to see you soon.